It's time. It's time. It's time to grow and glow. And I have the guide for you. You. Yeah. Happy Monday. How are you guys? It is October. October. Whoop, 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 whoop. Can you believe it's already October? And in 2 months will be a December and then it'll be a new year. So that's fucking insane. It's fucking crazy, but hey, it is what it is, right? So how was you guys this week, last week? Also, how did you do with the challenge? Let me know in the comments. I know our boundary challenges have been very extensive just because I feel like they're very important for us when we're trying to become the best version of ourselves, right? So let me know in the comments how you guys did with the challenge. And yeah, we'll talk about it, okay? This month, we are going even a step further from our boundaries, right? So let's just touch on last month. Oh, shit, it's Coach Faith there. Last month, we talked about exactly what boundaries are, why they are essential, and why we need them in every single aspect of our lives. This month, we're going to focus on breaking the cycle. Hence the title, Why Do You Keep Ending Up in the Same Situation? Right? And I'm gonna be like, hey, what the fuck? What does that have to do with boundaries? You have to know that sometimes our boundaries are set based on certain cycles that we've been through in our lives. So now we need to decipher, okay, I have this boundary. Is this because of a cycle I had, or is this something that's actually going to be beneficial for me? Okay, and that's how I want you to think about it. All right. So, y'all know how we start. Let's take a deep breath. And this is our affirmation. And this is our affirmation that we're going to use for the entire week, okay? I am not my past. I get to choose differently. Again, I am not my past. I get to choose differently. Ha! Isn't that crazy, right? And I want you to know this is just your reminder that you're not stuck, right? You're just in a transitional period. Look, you're in a transitional period. And that's what I want you to know, okay? Now, look, we're starting a new series. We cannot start anything new if we do not know exactly what it is first. So let's talk about exactly what is a cycle. All right. So a cycle is a pattern, emotional, behavioral, or relational that plays out again and again, often without you even knowing it. So you don't even know that the pattern is breaking out or the pattern is happening because you're so used to it. And that's why some of them need to be broken. We have to break this down because cycles repeat themselves over and over and over again, right? And before you know it, you're in the same exact place, in the same exact situation. Ask yourself, why the fuck do I keep ending up in the same situation? Why the fuck does this shit keep happening to me? Or it may sound like something like, I keep quitting before I even start. I always end up being the one who's being the most giving, over giving. Like, what the fuck am I doing wrong? Does that sound familiar to you? The root of a cycle that they don't happen randomly. They're often something that was born out of something you learned of absorbed throughout your lifetime. And that's how I want you to think about it. Okay. Maybe you learned to overgive because love was conditional for you and not unconditional. Maybe you learned to stay silent because if you spoke, you would have been punished for it. And this is where we start kind of getting to family because remember, everything starts with our childhood. Whether we realize it or not, our childhood really shapes us into a lot of things that we go through in our lives. So that's why we need to start breaking the cycle and see exactly what we need to do to change those things because we're not a child anymore. We're adults. And now we have to act as such, right? And I want you to know too, like, even though you're grown, your nervous system still thinks that the patterns that you have are keeping you safe. Because remember, some of us spent 18 years of our lives with our parents, our grandparents, your guardian, whomever it was, and you've been conditioned to do certain things or act a certain way. And some of us haven't even been in the house for 18 years. So it's going to be hard for us to break things that we are so used to, but we have to do that if we want to become the best version of ourselves. Okay? As we're talking about the boundaries, as we're talking about the cycles and how to start breaking the cycles, here are 5 steps that you need to do if you want to start breaking the cycles. Because remember, you cannot start breaking the cycle unless you have desire to. If you don't have a desire to break a cycle, how are you going to do that. If you don't have, it's not just about, breaking the cycle, it's about everything. If you don't have a desire to do something, it's never going to happen for you. First, you have to have the desire. That's your number one. Okay? These are the 5 steps that I want you to start working on today. Okay? Number 1, recognize the pattern. After desire, self-awareness. Okay? Recognize the pattern. You need to ask yourself, what's the situation that I keep finding myself in? Is it always giving more than you're receiving? Always quitting before you feel aligned? Or always settling for less? Excuse me. That's some things, those are some questions that I want you to ask yourself. Because once you name what that pattern is, you will stop thinking, oh, it's just bad luck. No, it's not. It's the pattern that has been set in your life. And you need to break that. All right? All right, number 2, identify the trigger. What moment starts the cycle? What's the feeling? What's the emotion? Or the thought that lights that fuse? What gets it going? You need to identify what that trigger is. Because that trigger could be loneliness. It could be rejection. It could be that feeling of that you're not good enough. What is that trigger? Because knowing that trigger is the key to you really understanding exactly what you're reacting to. Okay? Number 3, trace the root. How I do that? Ask yourself this. Where did I first learn to react like this? Go back to your childhood. As much as we hate to admit it, our childhood shapes a lot of things in our lives. It really does. And you have to know also, too, that you're not broken. You're just conditioned. You're not broken. You're just conditioned. And we have to get through that. We have to break that cycle. Number 4, challenge the belief. Behind every cycle is a belief. Now, remember, we talked about belief maybe a few weeks or a month ago or something like that. But we talked about your belief is specifically what you believe as an adult right now. Not what you were taught when you were a kid, not what you were taught when blah, 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 blah. It's right now in this moment. What is something that you believe in this current moment time of your life? And these are some things that, if I say no, I won't be loved. I don't deserve more than this. I always mess things up. And now what I want you to do, after you say all those things, all those bad, terrible, terrible, terrible things about yourself, then I want you to ask yourself this. Is that really true? Replace your belief with truth, with your truth. Okay? I can say no and still be loved. We talked about that last week or the week before last. You can still say no to things, people, places, and still be loved and still be cared for. Just because you say no, that does not diminish your value or your worth as a person. And it shouldn't. I am worthy of alignment and I am allowed to grow. Replace your belief with truth. You have to. All right? Well, number 5, choose differently even when it's uncomfortable for you. Because that's just what you have to do. Remember, growth requires discomfort. And we all know that because I talk about that shit all the fucking time. Growth requires comfort. Growth requires discomfort. You have to make a new choice on purpose because you need to and you want to. Make it a duty to do something and change on purpose. Make a new decision on purpose. Say no instead of yes. We talked about that shit. Stop saying yes to shit that you don't want to say yes to. Stop saying yes to shit that should have been a no. If it's a no, it's a fucking no. And kill it right there. That's it. And walk away instead of explaining. We talked about that shit too. Stop over-explaining yourselves. Stop over-explaining shit that you don't need to over-explain. Remember, no is a complete sentence. Hey, you want to go with me here? No. Why? Oh, I'm done. Leave the conversation. It doesn't require your energy or your time. Okay? Of course, it won't feel natural first because you're so used to doing these things. After a while, after you see how it's affecting your life in a positive way, it's going to become, it'll be natural for you, right? And it may feel wrong, as everything does when you've been conditioned to do something, but that's not fear. That's just your brain. Like, oh shit, I've done this shit for so many years and I'm changing. What the fuck's going on? What the fuck is happening? It feels weird, but it's not. Okay? Keep choosing alignment even if your voice shakes. Keep choosing alignment even if it feels uncomfortable for you. Keep choosing that because that's what you need to do. let me just talk about myself, right? Because when we're talking about breaking the, well, actually, before I talk about myself, let's talk about these 5 cycles again. The 5 things that you need to do to stop breaking a cycle. Okay. Number 1 is recognize the pattern. Number 2 is identify the trigger. Number 3 is trace the root. Number 4 is challenge the belief. And number 5 is choose differently. Now, I know we're talking about breaking the cycle, right? It could be something so small that's like you eating the same thing, right? So when I say that, like as a child, you may have eaten something you've been eating for your whole entire life. That could be a cycle, but also too, I say that because what if you ate something when you're a child that was a comfort meal for you because you didn't want to deal with something? And now you're bringing that into your adult life, even though you feel comfortable and you feel okay. But it's still bringing up those old emotions, or that old feeling you had when you did a certain thing. Does that make sense? Um, or it could be as simple as, when you were, I think all of us, we had a safe haven when we were a kid that we done something where we didn't want to deal with certain emotion that we were feeling or with certain things that were going on. You know what I'm saying? It could have been like something could have happened, like your parents could have been arguing or something like that, right? So every time they argued and you didn't want to listen to it, maybe you cut on SpongeBob because that'll take you away from that. And now you're an adult and you're still cutting on SpongeBob, and it's still bringing you back into that same space or that same emotion that you felt when you were a child. Does that is that clear? You know what I'm saying? Because that's a cycle that we need to break. And it's happening and we're not realizing because it's comfortable for us and it makes us feel safe. You know what I mean? That's the same thing for me. Like, let's say, for example, if I didn't want to feel anything, I was going to eat some food. Some Chinese food to be exact. And now realizing, oh, I love Chinese food, but also too, let's have, or it's not even that. You know how like sometimes you smell certain things or sometimes you hear certain music or you see even like it bring you back to like, you know what I'm saying? Like certain type shit. That's what I mean in a cycle. You know what I'm saying? We all have cycles, little do, whether we recognize them, whether we don't recognize them, we all have cycles. Whether they're good cycles, whether they're bad cycles. And some of our cycles are based off of our childhood. Right? And this may be hard for us to hear, but something that we need to know that our childhood doesn't define us. And we can't keep blaming our childhood for things that we're going through in our lives. Just because things happen to you in your childhood, that doesn't define the person that you are today. And you have to stop blaming that for the person that you are. Because you're an adult now and you have a decision and you have the ability to be able to change the person that you are. So you need to take that step and actually do that. You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, we all go through things in our childhood that may not have been the best. Some of us may, some of the things that we've been through may have been the best. At the end of the day, they do not define the person that you are right now. Shit happened in our childhood 20, 30 years ago, and we still holding on to that shit because it's hard for us to let it go. Because how much it shaped us as a person. And I want you to know and I want you to realize that you have to stop blaming your childhood on the things that you've been through. You're an adult now, and you have the ability to change it, so you need to change it. If you have a cycle that's based on things that happened in your childhood, let it go and start working on it to become the best version of yourself that you're to become. Does that make sense? Like, is any of this like clicking for any of you guys? Like, you know what I'm saying? Because it makes a difference for all of us, and it makes a difference for all of us, right? And some of us have had really shitty lives, and some of us haven't, man. It's hard for you to let some shit go. I mean, I know it is. But if you want to actually grow and be the best person you can be, you have to let shit go. You just have to let it go a little more. All right? Remember, you can forgive, but you ain't got to forget. Remember that. Remember that. But also, too, it'll be hard for you to forget some shit anyway that was traumatic to you anyway. So, okay. Just saying. Then when I realized that I couldn't keep blaming my childhood for the person that I am, your life will get easier for you. It'll get easier. It'll get smoother for you because you realize some shit that happened in your childhood, this was your fault. And you couldn't do it and change that. You know what I'm saying? And that's what you got to think about. Life gets clearer for you. It gets peaceful. And you start living for yourself. But that's the thing I think about that. Let's take a deep breath out of that. That was a little heavy. Take a deep breath. All right. So, but yeah, as we're talking about these things, I just want you guys to realize and know that cycles are something that need to be broken if it's having a negative effect on your life. Okay? Like, if it's affected you negatively, you need to break that. And I also, too, gave you 5 steps on how to start breaking those cycles. Okay? So, let's pump up the energy in here. Let's pump up the energy. Boom, boom. Pump it up. Pump it up. Pump it up. And you already know what time it is. Grow and go. Challenge. Grow and go. Challenge. Yeah. Whew. All right. So this is our challenge this week, okay? I want you to put the pen to the paper, 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 the pen to the paper. Number 1, I want you to write down the pattern in your life that keeps repeating. 2, name the trigger. 3, write out the belief behind it. 4, replace it with a new truth. And 5, pick one small action. Because remember, we can have a plan all day, all night. But if you don't have an action behind it, how is it going to be executed? Okay? So, excuse me. As you can see, I took all the 5 steps that we need to do to start identifying or start stopping a cycle, and that's your challenge. So basically what I'm asking you to do is name that challenge that you need, name that cycle that you need to stop. And what are you going to do to stop that? All right, and I'm going to say it again. I'm going to just reiterate so you guys know it. And also, too, I stopped putting them on the screen just because they've been a little bit longer. So for all the challenges that we talk about, they are going to be in the comment section of the description, okay? Number 1, write down the pattern that you keep repeating in your life. Number 2, name the trigger. Number 3, write the belief behind it. Number 4, replace it with the new truth. And number 5, pick one small action you could take this week to break that cycle. Okay? It's a little heavy, man. Yeah, it's a little heavy because it gets you to start thinking about, your cycle and everything like that. It has you start thinking about that stuff. These are some things that I want you to remember, okay? You are not defined by your past. You are not defined by your childhood. You are not defined by things that have happened to you, right? You make your life how you want your life to be made. That doesn't even it makes sense, but it doesn't make sense. Well, all I'm trying to say is you are the creator of you are the author of your book, right? You write every single page of your book to make it your masterpiece, right? So you write out that. And the things that you write down in that book are not defined by things that have happened to you, things that people did to you. They're not defined by those things. Remember, though, you have to first recognize that you're not defined by that before you could even do the work. Okay? You can break the cycle. I want you to know that you can break the cycle. You can build new patterns. You can do whatever it is that you need to do to become the best version of you that you could become. Okay? And it starts by choosing differently, even when it feels uncomfortable for you, even when no one did say it. You have to know that whatever happens in your life does not shape you as the person that you are today. The past is the past. The past is the past, not the present and not the future. Okay? So, as we end this, I want you to ask yourself, why do you keep ending up in the same situations? After you've watched the episode, after you listen to the episode, then I want you to ask yourself that question. We ask it in the beginning. Now I want you to ask it in the end. So that you have some tools to help you. Why do you keep ending up in the same situation? All right. Now, y'all normally know I say, welcome to your feel good station. It is your feel good station, but today is a little heavy. So I would just tone it down a notch. Welcome to your feel good station. I make sure you get your ass on the bus. We're still on the road to feel good. Today is a little heavy. It's not a bad heavy. It's just a heavy of kind of realizing and understanding exactly what you need to do for yourself. Okay? Once you start breaking those cycles, though, you are unstoppable. And you have to learn. And you are unstoppable. You have to learn how to give yourself grace. All right? So, you already know who it is. It's Coach Faith. Another week, another glow up. Thank you so much for letting me be your guide. And I will see you guys next week. All right? Ciao. Oh, hold up. I forgot something. As we're talking about breaking the cycles, and as we're talking about why you keep ending up in the same situation, remember, if you're having trouble, I'm your life coach. Come talk to me, and I got you. And let's see what we need to do to help you start, become the best way to live yourself, and breaking those cycles. Okay? And now I will end on, it's Coach Faith here. Another week, another glow up. Thank you so much for letting me be your guide. And I will see you guys. Runas!